Welcome to the Inner Reboot with Sam and Heidi, your weekly pit stop to shake off the stress, laugh at life's plot twists and recharge your mindset. Because let's be honest, transformation doesn't have to be boring or involve 75 different types of smoothie.
So grab a drink, smoothies if you must, and join us for the wins, the fails and the awkward bits, because sometimes the biggest breakthroughs start with an inner reboot and occasionally forgetting why you even walked into the room. Hello and welcome.
Welcome to in-person welcome.
Our first ever in-person podcast record, now that we've worked out how to do it.
We are together. Why did we end up doing this together? Because we planned so badly.
Logistics.
Yeah.
Logistics is mainly the reason.
Yeah. And it has just taken us 35 minutes to figure something out that we thought we had wrong that we actually had right.
We're just listening through the wrong headphones. Yeah. So technical setup complete, finally, when you know what you're doing.
Yep.
So yeah, welcome. So how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been interesting. Different to the week before. But the week before was very much an enlightening week, and I think this week has been like sort of stuck, but we're not stuck.
I think this week has been the start of knowing what we need to do to become unstuck and starting to work that through. But also, like we were just talking earlier about the challenges. So while so many things are helpful for us in terms of doing this and perhaps not feeling quite so restricted in terms of working 9 to 5, etc., there's also that sense of like change in terms of the loss of structure and routine and consistency that may be also having an impact. So I guess we're navigating still the muddly middle, but in a different way now.
Yeah, I think something that you said earlier really struck a chord with me, which was talking about when you're in a job role, there's things that you really don't like and things that give you anxiety and really piss you off and make you feel outside your comfort zone. But then there's things that you grab onto to kind of split it even. So perhaps it might be something like you said, you work with a really good team, or you have a really good relationship with a colleague in another team, or it might be the benefits you're getting or the flexibility of the role, whatever that is. We kind of figured out that there's always something that replaces the kind of negative things that you're thinking that kind of overpower that with the positive things, which is really good. And I think it's now that realization of like, actually, how do we start identifying all the positives to start to outweigh some of the things that we're feeling in terms of the bits you do feel in the middle, like the fear and the anxiety and the not knowing and
not having clarity, like the lack of clarity. Yeah. I was like, in terms of, we were talking about like having the holistic view, which I struggle with, like, because the negative always gets really loud. So therefore you can sort of lose sight of some of the positives. And I guess we have to seek our positives in really different places now. It's different. And I don't think there's lots, isn't there? It's like break free of the 9 to 5, or like follow the thing that you want to do and the thing that you're passionate about or whatever. And there's a lot of noise about that at the moment. And it's great. And I'm really pleased we are doing this, obviously. But you have to find things in different ways. You have to seek the positives in different ways because you don't have the same structure and goals and clarity about what you're doing, but you still need to find those positives.
Yeah, but the other thing is as well, we're having to create the positives.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's a bit different,
It's really
isn't it? Because
you have to, it's a conscious effort.
It is a conscious effort because when you're in a workplace environment, things are posed to you and you either choose to look at them in a positive way or a negative way.
Yeah.
Right. But they're given to you. Your team is given to you. Your
goals
colleagues.
your
yeah,
KPIs
exactly.
are,
So it's almost, you kind of have this bag of pick and mix where you're kind of going, okay, well, yeah, I can grab onto this.
For me, that's great.
Yes.
That's not so great. But
whereas we're not getting given things, we are creating our own things, and probably a bit of negativity bias in there. We're constantly self-critical of like, is it good enough? Will it work? Is it the right thing? What will other people think? Like, am I talking a load of shit? Probably.
Lots of overthinking about everything. Because there's nothing to pull you out of that overthinking either. There's no, I guess that's the other thing. We almost need to self-impose deadlines because if not, there are no deadlines. And as somebody that works really well to deadlines and having urgency and a rush, I guess it's this last week, since coming unstuck with the business and becoming much clearer in what we're doing and what we're aiming for and who we're serving and all of those things and how we're going to do it, has also meant that now the follow-on is reminding ourselves how we work, what we need, how we operate at our best, and what that looks like.
I feel like we've found our direction of travel. We just haven't packed our luggage very well. I feel like I'm kind of a bit, as you were talking, I had this vision in my mind of like, yes, I've got my one-way ticket to where I want to go. And I haven't got a clue what I'm meant to be packing. And I don't actually even know when I board the plane which cabin category I'm going to be sitting.
Well, I don't know which gate to go to. There's still, and this is the thing, isn't it? Like, there's still loads of decisions along the way, and there's loads of stuff we need to work out along the way. But until we, and I think this is a big part of what we've been doing over the last 2 or 3 weeks, is who are we? How do we operate? What do we need? But also, probably a larger part of is what do we need to let go of? What do we need to unpack?
Yeah,
from our luggage?
We need to unpack before we repack.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm quite excited to write my packing list.
I feel this analogy could go on for quite some time.
Strap in, everybody.
Watch this place. We'll be packing for a cruise next week instead of a flight somewhere.
We'll be on a little ferry instead of on the world cruise.
I think one of the things I keep thinking around as well is like, what are we creating by not deciding? And that's been rattling around in my head.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, for quite a long time. It's like, by not deciding, what are we creating? And actually, yeah, are we creating a monster because we're not making the decisions either as quickly or as, and part of the reason of not making them quickly is because of all the fear things. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to mess up, etc.
Well, I think there's also some other things wrapped up in that, isn't there? Like that reel I sent you at the end of last week, which was like how my brain I have to process out loud for it to process anything. So all of these blurs are literally me trying to make sense of them, and it doesn't actually necessarily mean I mean them, if that makes sense. And a lot of the times most people, well, not most people, but a lot of people will have the thoughts and they'll be able to sort through them and then present. Like, you're a massive reflector, so you'll be able to take some information, reflect on it in your brain internally, maybe have a conversation, but just process it and then be like, right, so I think this, I've been thinking about this, or it's like, it's a bit more formed. Whereas
I've come to this conclusion of a mix of things.
Whereas I have to blurt it all out in order to process it, to then reach a conclusion. And a lot of the time that'll be like, well, yeah, we'll scrap that. That was just me processing it. And it's stuff like that, like learning how we process and what we need. Because a lot of the time when I'm like talking, it doesn't necessarily mean it's that I want to follow that path, but it can easily become that.
Yeah, but you think out loud. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think it's about learning that, isn't it? It's like, right, I'm thinking out loud. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to jump on that boat and row it.
No, because otherwise we'd have 100 boats in the ocean with not many captains.
Well,
just still be rogue. These analogies need to stop.
But that is some of the mess, I think, that I was creating. Like, in terms of not making decisions, because then I'm like, we won't make a decision about that.
Let's say creativity, not mess.
Okay.
I think the positive spin, thinking on the positive, it's creativity, isn't it? And yeah, it's learning how much of that is useful, how much of it is you processing your thought out loud, and how much of it actually has been beneficial for us to know what not to do. And I think that's something else. So as much as it seems like it's a really consistent way of working to think and be reflective and come out with a smaller option of things, sometimes it's not as beneficial, because something that I think might be a no-go or a bit rubbish, you might say, actually, no, that could be something.
Yeah, true.
So you're putting a wider offering on the table, which I think is a positive thing. But I guess in your mind, it feels very muddled because there's so much of it all at once.
Yes.
Maybe. That's the difference.
And I think we also have consciously, over the last couple of weeks, started to be like, right, yes, but let's park that. Or what are we doing now? And it goes back to that decision making. And I think probably that is the biggest thing. We've realised that we need to make more decisions and stick to them, regardless of the negativity bias that comes in terms of like, well, how will that play out? Or what will people think about that? Or what are you doing that for? It's sort of like, if it feels right and it's getting us to where we want to be, then let's just roll with it.
Yeah, because sometimes there's that thing of like, well, I don't know whether to do it or not. Well, fuck it, try it and find out. Like, you'll soon know if it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
So then the only thing that you've got is learning through failure. And then you're back in the experimentation phase, which is really interesting anyway. So it's actually by not making a decision and doing nothing, all you're doing is staying in the mess. And I think part of this process is about saying, actually, to be able to step out of the mess, there has to be movement. So therefore, a decision has to be made. And if that decision leads to something great, wonderful, crack on. If it doesn't, you've learned
Start
something.
again. Yeah, start with something different.
Navigate something slightly different.
Yeah.
So I think amongst all of it, it's about at least doing something is better than nothing, even if it fails.
Yes.
I think that's the thing. In terms of getting momentum and getting yourself unstuck, it's about having the bravery to say, I'm just going to try it anyway, because if it doesn't work, it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Which I think, is definitely what we're leaning into now.
Which is a good job, because that's kind of the purpose of what we're wanting.
It's a good job, because if not, we'll just be rambling forever.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. I think we've learned a lot along the way, but I think some of the things that we are wanting to do in terms of out in the wider world, in terms of helping people become unstuck, are the lessons that we've learned. And actually not right now, but historically as well, for the last sort of 15, 20
careers,
years, I think we've learned a lot, and understanding that people, it's not as simple as saying, just have a goal. Just have an objective.
Or,
just have a whatever.
Have your North Star and just do little things towards it, which is all well and good. And of course you need that, but that is not the only thing. Like, there's so many obstacles in the way of that. And it's too idealistic, I think, to view achieving as having some goals and some performance indicators or objective, like whatever it is. There's too many variables, because we're humans and we are interacting with humans, for it to be as linear as that.
Yeah. And it isn't linear at all, is it?
No, but I think it's made to feel quite linear.
Yeah, absolutely. It's given to us in that environment of, here's a plan, here's a crib sheet, here's a document, here's a something. It's always given to us in a way that takes you down what looks like a fairly linear path. But then, but that's the thing, you look at it and you go, well, then surely it just becomes a tick box exercise. And there's actually no experimentation or transformation or growth inside any of that, because all you're doing is going, I have to get from point A to point B.
I think there's growth. I don't think there's transformation. And I think, like, if I think back over my career, most of the growth moments have happened not through ticking the boxes in terms of the training I've received or the promotion I've got or anything like that. It's been in the chaotic moments, or in the tricky moments, or in the moments I felt really stuck, of like, well, how do I move on from here? And 9 times out of 10, it's because I internally need to do something different, not because I need to get another skill or another knowledge base. It's because my mode of operation, or the way I'm approaching something, or the people around me have changed, and therefore I need to work differently. It's always like an internal thing, because we can learn the skills and we can apply them. But if you're just repeating that and everything else is around you changing, you won't get the same results and you won't move forward.
How do you do that, though? You know, how do you have the awareness to do that versus going, well, surely I've been told if I do this training and I learn that skill, I'll be a better person. Do you see what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I think you only learn it when you have to. Yeah. So the same thing's not working, or you're like, right, okay, well, I've learned this thing, I've applied it to this new project or this new piece of work or my new role, and it's not working. Then you have to sit back and go, well, why is that not working? What can I look at differently? And I guess it also is different as to whether you're a curious person or you're not.
Yeah, if you've got a fixed mindset, you might just be that person that goes, well, I can't do this.
Yeah, and all of this stuff isn't working for me, and so therefore this isn't right. And I don't think you can quite get through. You won't grow, you won't progress, you won't even do that tick box thing if you have a fixed mindset, because there will become those barriers, and you have to be open to them, I think, in order to progress. But again, I think you can grow. I don't think you can necessarily transform unless you look inwards.
Yeah, that's the difference, isn't it? I think that self-reflection piece and understanding actually who you are first.
When asking those really big questions, like, why isn't that working? Like, why could I get this thing across the line with this person, but now I can't with that person? And you can't always expect the other people to change and meet you. Sometimes you have to either be curious about it, understand it, and then be like, right, okay, yeah, that's something I'm willing to do. Or if it's not, then that's fine too, but you just then pivot and you change. But it's never a linear tick box process. And I guess one of the biggest things is who you have around you. That was the other great thing I read this week, or somebody said, or might have watched a reel about, was the whole, well, we were talking about earlier, wasn't we? Like, in terms of, you can be a person who attaches onto the people around you and start to become them. So it might be an accent, it might be mannerisms, it might be the way you talk about a situation. If you spend long enough with some people, you can like sort of morph into them. And I'm one of those people. You're one of those people. And fuck, I forgot my point. What was I saying? Take me back. You have to do this all the time.
Oh, no.
You do this to me I do this to you all the time.
Oh, no, you're talking about being linear, and it's about the other people that you're navigating. Somebody's probably listening to this screaming now.
Yeah, and being like, what the hell are you saying?
That's what you were talking about.
Oh, I can't remember. I've lost it. But
it was about when you're navigating other people, like it's about the other person as well.
Yeah.
And then you started talking about how we mimic other people, which is actually, no, it's not a lost point. It's actually a fair point, because if you think about it, it's like we can have a growth mindset, right? And we can navigate all of this stuff. But what you said earlier about you're then interacting with other people, and you said, if I interact with that person, it's working, but I now interact with that person, it's not working anymore. But some of that's what makes it really difficult, because we're expecting them to be a certain way when actually we don't know who they are anyway. So it makes it so much harder. And like you said, what was working with one now doesn't work with the other. But part of that makes it easier if, like what your example of, if you're somebody that finds it easy to not copy other people, but almost like mirror them, mirror their behavior, mirror their language, it makes it a lot easier to orchestrate yourself and also understand them. Because we're thrust into these environments where we're working with people that we didn't know we were going to work with. You know, so it's not like we chose a certain personality type to work with, or, certain speed of worker. It's actually, we have to navigate each other as we're going along. And part of that is that mirroring activity, which is really important. But it does make it so much harder when you don't know how they're going to respond. It's like we've talked about strengths before, and understanding somebody else's strengths is really important, because we know that values sit foundationally behind the strengths, and that drives our behaviours. So until you know that, you're kind of a bit blind. And it's the same with growth and transformation. We can grow and transform, but we have to remember that we're projecting ourselves out into the world in a completely different way if we've transformed than we were before. So people might start to respond differently. And that's okay too. It's really, it's really difficult. But I guess the moral of that point is to say, actually, you have to do what's right for you and be comfortable and happy in your own skin and your own mind and your own areas of growth and transformation, and not do it for other people. And this is something that
and not be held back.
Yeah, there's two things. So one is not being held back by others, and the other one is not being pushed into a place where you don't want to go by others. Because very often people will say, oh, I think if you expanded your mind in this area, you learnt this new thing, it would help you here, here and here. But they don't actually know.
Well, if that's then, again, not leaning into your strengths, or if that doesn't energise you or motivate you, or is something you don't feel comfortable doing, then you will you will struggle from the impacts of that. But again, this massively comes down to, which I think is for us has been quite important over the last couple of weeks, is like, who am I? Who are we? What do we need? How do we operate? And until we do that work, whether that's for the purpose of transformation or not, or whether it's just self-awareness, it's also hard to know when you're navigating a path that you don't want to navigate. Because actually I've done it countless times in my career where somebody said, you need to be more this, or in order to progress, you've got to be, particularly about behaviours, more like this, or you've got to come across like that. And so you try and morph into that, which serves you for a period of time and then just becomes exhausting.
It's not sustainable though, because it's not natural self.
It's not. No, exactly. Yeah. But it's really easy to onboard that and go, oh yeah, of course, like to get to this level or to do that, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And I think it's only when you create the space and you are inquisitive and you want to understand why you feel at odds with things, or why something felt fine for 6 months to a year and then all of a sudden doesn't, that you can start to explore that. And then you start to lead on to growth, transformation.
It's so bloody archaic. Actually, it's really rude. I actually feel a bit put out now. I think it's really rude when, and you're right, the behaviour thing I was going to touch on, of when somebody will give you feedback, whether it's your manager or somebody else, around the behaviour and how the expectation should be. Some behaviours I understand, like in a previous organisation I worked in, they had a group of brand ambassadors, and it was basically about getting people together across the organisation who had been identified as people that really lived and breathed the brand.
Yeah.
Not because they'd been told to,
but naturally they did. Yeah.
And through feedback and identification of others, people would say, that person over there is absolutely living and breathing the brand. They're amazing. So those people came together as a collective to try to create a wider culture of that, which I think is amazing. Yeah. That's really, really good. The bit that I'm very uncomfortable with is when you get direct feedback of somebody saying, well, you just need to be a bit more chatty, or in a meeting, you need to share your ideas quicker.
Or be more confident.
Yeah,
or
be more
challenge
confident.
them and influence them.
And what's really interesting is, if people truly understood what their energy drivers were and where their strengths lied, they wouldn't ask them to be doing that. What they would ask them to be doing is actually leaning into their other strengths. So like being, I don't know, quite vocal might not be a strength, being quite analytical and data driven, but quiet at the same time might be their strength. So they would find a way to navigate that arena in terms of that meeting, that team of people, that group.
And they'd facilitate the right spaces.
The right strengths at the right time. And so that's the bit that I don't agree with. And I think, you have people that are quiet and shy and underconfident, but they're not the same thing.
Oh, that was the biggest one. Always told, like, just be more confident. Like, you're great at what you do, just be more confident.
It's not the same thing.
Well, actually, I become more confident when I'm in the right space and the right arena and have the right things around me in order to show my skill set and to feel confident to talk up or whatever it is. And you're like exactly right. And I think we can, personal development plans or whatever it might be, goals, etc., we seem to throw in the mix behaviours and values in the same way as we do skills and knowledge. And I think that's really terrifying and difficult, because we are asking people to shape themselves as a whole differently, potentially, to who they are.
It's your whole makeup and your personality. It's not whether you can go and do a specific task.
Yeah.
It's very, very different. And I think it's actually quite rude. Wouldn't it be funny if you actually sat, though, if somebody gave you that feedback and said, oh, you just need to be more confident. And you said, okay, that's great, but we know that I'm not. So actually, my other skills that you've identified, what would you rather me promote in a team? What would you promote of me in a team meeting? I think a manager would actually keel over, because they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know how to
I don't think any of mine would be like.
I mean?
I don't. And
but
also,
wouldn't it be a great? I mean, that takes confidence to do that in the first place. So maybe pick a different thing. That,
but I think confidence. It's like different things, isn't it? I can advocate for my knowledge base in the right environment. Like, I can be confident, this is talking very much about me, but I think you can be confident about certain things, particularly if you probably feel a bit aggrieved and a bit like, no, hang on a minute, that's not fair.
Yeah, if you're pissed off about something, it's surprising how much
The
confidence you
competition
can
all of a
find.
sudden, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
like,
Or like
I'm
you
not
feel
happy.
like like almost hard done by. But yeah,
Mm.
you're right. Maybe there is a different strength. For a better example, imagine if everybody knew their all of these things we talked about, knew their strengths, knew their drivers, knew what really motivates them, how they operate best. Like, that is stuff that I'm only really working out. And going back to your earlier
Mm.
question, which is like, how do you learn that and how do you understand that? Time,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of reflection, coaching probably, or not even having a coach, but having sort of that
To a degree, you can
insight coach.
self-coach of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Self-help development
Mm-hmm.
books, self-help, but like
Yeah.
self-development books and things like that. I think either you are somebody that's curious about it and wants to explore, or you're probably not. And in which case, if you're not, you're probably quite happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are people that aren't, and that's absolutely fine.
And I think forgiveness, a lot of forgiveness to self,
Yeah.
because we never remember that bit. And actually, it's really, really important, because the hardest person is on your side, is
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So I think forgiveness needs to be in that mix as well, because we beat ourselves up so much about the things that we think we can't do, or the things that we think we failed at. And it has such a rolling impact on all of the other great things that we do,
Mm.
that we end up just clutching onto that story and not remembering that actually there's future stories that are going to be impacted negatively by that. So actually, how do you let go of all of your past negative stories and have forgiveness before you allow yourself to kind of move on with a completely fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective, to be able to say, it's okay, actually, it's fine.
But it's also that reframing again, isn't it? Like,
Mm.
in terms of, I'm definitely having to lean on a lot of reframe, like, or have done more recently, in terms of taking the negative, or taking the thing that you've believed for a really long time and shifting it to a thing that feels more comfortable or more accepting, whether that's in, like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden in society it's more accepting or whatever, or just reframing the words so that they feel okay to you as an individual, I think is really
Mm.
helpful. So as an example, we talked about this earlier today, my top one that at the minute has come up, which is never being satisfied, which is something like I've always been, it's been talked about a lot. I've always felt it, others feel it around, because I want to change everything all of the time. And I get, basically, by the time I know something, a job or whatever, if I've done that for a little while or I feel really competent in it, then I'm like, well, fuck this, what's next? Like, I'm just never quite satisfied with anything. Like, we'll move house and then within
Is it
6 months we'll be.
satisfied though, or is it because the only reason I ask is because when you said, like, once I get in a role and I know it and I've done it, etc.,
I just get
I
bored.
don't know if you're dissatisfied with
Oh, no,
current
no, no.
state. It's, oh, you are. I was going to say, is it more of like constantly seeking
It's seeking
momentum and
adventure, it's
change?
seeking change, and it's
Yeah.
seeking newness. And I
Mm.
think that is the reframe. That's the flip.
Yeah.
So it is that. It is, I do get really dissatisfied really, really quickly. And so not ever being satisfied or dissatisfied
Taxi.
is really negative. But actually, if I said to you, like, I'm never satisfied, like, will do the thing and I won't be satisfied, you'd probably be like, fuck me, I don't want to go into business with her. Right. But then if the flip side, and I say, I'm always curious, I'm always like, I want the next adventure and I want change often, you'd be like, well, yeah, fucking great. Of course, because nobody wants to,
Yeah.
maybe you wouldn't be, you looked at me like,
No,
like,
I was thinking
nobody wants,
definitely on the bus
I
on
don't
that
want to be
one. Yeah.
static, like, and I don't want,
Mm.
and I think there's so much else out there. It's finding the balance and it's reframing it. And I think there's a lot to be said for reframing that probably isn't just talked about enough.
Mm. I think we have talked about this before, because I think ours comes out in very different ways, doesn't it? In terms of that seeking change, of like ever evolvement or wanting things different.
Yeah.
Like I've said to you before, like I will randomly move things around the house so it
Yes.
looks different.
Which I said, I was like, what? Are those vases new? No, just moved.
Exactly. And I said to you when I was a child, actually, I would change my bedroom around like every 2 weeks and completely differently. And I think part of that is mine doesn't come from a place of dissatisfaction. It comes from a place of thinking it could look better, or I could do better.
Oh, yeah.
Or I could do more, or I could achieve more. So mine isn't dissatisfaction. Mine is definitely driven on newness. I like
It's like,
new
what's
things.
next?
I literally could move house every week and I'd be fine.
Me too.
Yeah,
I love
literally.
moving
Yeah.
house. People literally look at me like I've fallen out the sky when I say that. I'm like, what?
I'm always itching, like looking on, real estate sites and stuff, looking at houses, thinking, oh, I would do that to this room and that to that. It's that constant seeking of change. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I also think sometimes I catch myself and think, am I trying to run away from something?
Yes.
Or is it that because people have said to me before that I'm inquisitive. And when somebody first gave me this feedback, it was quite a long time ago. It was probably 15 or so years ago, maybe longer. And I thought, oh, are they telling me that I'm nosy? Like, is that just another word for nosy? And it genuinely, as it turned out, it wasn't. It was about the fact that when I'm given information, I become really inquisitive around what it means and how it works and how to apply it and what.
I don't think I've ever known anyone go down as many rabbit holes as you do. Like, you're like, no, but in a positive, like in terms of like, oh, I've heard this thing, it's intrigued me, and now let me find out
all of it,
what I need to know. And so therefore, is there anything I need to do with it, want to do with it? What can I?
Yeah.
I think it's really positive then.
I definitely always try and keep fully informed before making a decision. Or not even making a decision, but actually just coming to a conclusion of something. Whether it's actually, oh, that person said this thing, do I believe it? I'll do a bit of research.
You're really good at that. I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh, that person said something, so okay. That's what I now need to do.
You're saying that you're very gullible.
Very gullible.
Very gullible.
Very, very
right,
gullible.
I'll bank that one. I'll catch you out at some point.
I can't tell you the amount of things that I've been like, and I can remember my very first job, I worked in a solicitor's firm, and one of the partners very quickly, I was only 16, but very quickly cottoned onto the fact that I was very gullible. I am very gullible. I forgot about that. Like just being, like, because it's just, nobody really, you don't have such a playful. That's the thing. I don't think there's as much playfulness either.
No.
With stuff. Sorry, I just gone on a massive
tangent. No, you're right. It's playing. It's no, it does fit into what we were saying because it's part of that experimentation piece around playing and understanding and all of that stuff. We don't. It feels like we don't have time. I was going to say we don't have time. Actually, you can find time, but it feels like we don't have time because life is so busy and there's so much to keep on top of, and everybody's got very busy lives. And then on top of your busy lives is the busy outer world and what's going on in the outer world and what's being thrown at you versus what are you enabling yourself. Like, I will find the time to go down a rabbit hole and explore something regardless of what I'm being thrown at, because I'm quite good at going, I'm not interested in what's being thrown at me. I'm choosing to go down this path, and then I'll come to whatever conclusion I come to.
Easily led.
But
you're not so much.
Yeah, no. Not I was when I was younger though. Yeah, really badly. Maybe it's because I've been told so many times how easily led I am that I am now not.
Refusing to be easily led anywhere.
I actually refuse.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot, isn't it? And I guess this has been the biggest shift and the biggest change I've ever had or done over the last 6 months. And it's timely because it comes after an extreme period of burnout and working out who I am and navigating neurodivergence and all of that stuff. And so it's almost like all of the change all at once, but forcing me to pull on those anchors and the things that are really important to me, but also the things that I know about myself. And every time it's like I need a little book, like I need a little black book, not full of people that I can contact for business, but what I can look back and go, just remember, that's what you need. This is the person you are. This is what's important to you. It's almost like that.
I think you are. I mean, the Instagram post that you put on Friday, I think was really interesting around the 3 things. And I think that's going to become really important of actually what are the 3 things that is, whatever they are they 3 things that have been achieved? Are they 3 things that we want to achieve next week? And actually, what are the 3 things that are going to anchor you in that? And I think that, for me, moving forward, is the thing that I'm going to grab onto. And I'm actually going to be able to say, okay, on a Friday, I'm going to sit and say, okay, 3 things that we've achieved, 3 things that we want to achieve. And actually, what are my anchors? And the anchors for me will be anything that stops the negative talk in my mind.
Yes.
Whatever that is. It will just be 3 things that I'm going to pick that I'll be able to anchor on to stop the little
The
gremlins
positive.
coming forward. Yeah.
So the 3 good things I got, there was a few people. So a friend who was really burnt out as well at the same time, and she was like, oh, this is helping me. And so she would, at the end of the day, write 3 things she was grateful for, 3 good things that had happened, and 3 things she was looking forward to the next day.
Yeah.
So that then she'd almost written her to-do list for the next day, but like in a positive way. And then also my coach, when we very first, so like a year ago when I first spoke to him, there's a study somewhere where, so this is the thing, he told me about the study and was like, go and look at it. I have not. You would have definitely gone down a rabbit hole.
I'd have read the study, read the book, and found the person.
I've just gone, right, okay, this person's told me this thing. So there was a study done where, if you, at the end of the day, ideally you'd write it down, but if at the end of the day, the last thing you think about before you go to sleep are the 3 good things that have happened to you that day, you basically overnight obviously the more consistently you do it, the better. You are rewiring your brain.
Yeah.
While you're sleeping is actually proven science. And so I didn't do it right before bed. I'd try and remind myself of them. But in the evening, I'd therefore sit down and write 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 good things that have happened, and then 3 things that I look forward to. And I just think it's such a really simple way to connect, to journal, but without journaling. And if you have no time, you can literally lay in bed and go, what are the 3 things that happened? 3 good things. Because I was getting to the point where I would be going to bed and be like, right, bedtime was really tricky with the kids, and I forgot to do this, and I was rushing around and didn't you can just end your day, but it forced me to be like, oh, but we had a really good conversation in the car, and oh, but we sat down and we read together, like all of those really little things. So it doesn't even have to be the 3 really big things. It's just 3 little things. And I think it does make a big difference.
It makes a huge difference, because those are the things that we forget to do, because we lay in bed and we're thinking about, what is tomorrow going to be? Is there going to be a shit show? Am I going to have to worry about anything?
Or
what am I going to have to on board?
Spiraling about anything.
And I think that's not a good state to go to sleep in anyway. In terms of anxiety, and it affects your sleep pattern and everything. So yeah, I think ending the day with positives, whatever they may be, is the most powerful thing that you can do for your brain to set yourself up ready
for the next day. Yeah, definitely. So
sure.
Yes, a lot of learning this
Good
week.
chat.
A lot of inner reboots.
Yes, a lot. Yes, a lot of inner reboots actually, and many more to come. Lots of navigating. And I think it's just becoming comfortable that our lives now are very different. There is no structure, there's no routine at the moment. And therefore we have more time to think, but it's making sure we're using that in the right way and navigating our days in ways that are meaningful. So what I'm hearing is our P's have gone feral.
Our positive P's are feral, wild, unruly, and I've lost most of them. No, I haven't lost them. They're having an adventure and they're going to come back to me.
Mine are at an underground rave somewhere. Yeah.
And then they'll come back, and then they're having a bit of respite at the moment.
All is good in the world.
All is good in the world. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. That felt very, very cathartic and lovely, and
yeah, very cathartic. I'll see you for the next one.
Indeed.